Okay, on the left here is me pretty sick, around 120 pounds about a year and a half ago. On the right, that is me recently, sitting at 154 pounds.
Okay, so in this video, we're going to be covering how to easily gain weight. I saw someone online posted a video. She had an NG tube in, and that's basically was her only source of nutrition because she couldn't eat anything else. She was kind of stuck. And I'm going to try to cover, she was basically trying to gain weight, is what her main issue was. So I'm going to try to cover the basics of weight gain. I've touched on it in my other videos. If you haven't watched my other videos, I suggest you go check those out now, or at least after this video. Okay, so weight gain and weight loss. First of all, I want you to forget absolutely everything you've ever seen in a health magazine, on the cover of Men's Health, Women's Health, in an infomercial, commercial. I mean, pretty much anything that doesn't come from someone reputable on YouTube or from a book, etc. There's so many gimmicks in the fitness and health space. You know, how many commercials have you seen over the years? And I'm pretty young and I've seen a bunch where they're selling some sort of tool or mechanism that helps you get abs. It's like some sort of crunch system where it helps you do more crunches because crunches are supposed to give you abs. Fun fact, how do you get abs? Have you ever noticed how most skinny people have abs? Well, that's the basis of it, is that anyone with low body fat will have abs. If you have 30% body fat, like you're generally an overweight person, which you're probably not because you're watching a video on how to gain weight, but assuming you were at 30% body fat, you actually have abs. You just can't see them. There's a layer of fat in front. And to get rid of that fat in front, you don't do crunches because you can't target fat loss, the location of fat loss. When you lose fat, you lose it from all different places, generally equally. That's kind of a long story, but when you're gaining muscle, you can target where you put on muscle. But the thing is, when you're trying to get abs, you don't need muscle. You already have the muscles generally for abs. If you can get up and get off the ground and do basic functions, you probably have enough muscle for abs. You just got to lose the weight. That's kind of hiding it. But anyways, point being, all those gimmicks, you know, the different crunch tools and all those different things that you see on infomercials, they're all a waste when it comes to that kind of stuff. So the basis of weight gain comes down to calories, how many calories you're eating. And I have a video that breaks down how many calories you're supposed to be eating and helps you calculate it roughly. It's like an estimate. You know, of course, there's like macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fat, and different ratios of which. But overall, the overarching picture is that those all add up to be calorie totals. And that calorie total decides whether you're going to gain or lose weight. And what kind of weight you'll gain, etc., is going to be based on what you're doing fitness-wise, and like if you're gaining fat or muscle, and then basically the ratio of those macronutrients. But that's next level. Right now, you're just trying to gain weight because you're just extremely skinny, like I was. I was 50 pounds ago. I was 105 pounds, 6'2", extremely unhealthy. As your doctor, as many people have already told you, likely, liquid diets are extremely beneficial with Crohn's disease and when you're in a flare, etc. And the main recommendation from most people is to drink those Ensure drinks. They're like this big. They come in different flavors. The issue with those, there's a few issues. First and foremost, is they're expensive, right? You need to be drinking quite a few of them. That's the next thing, is they're small and they don't contain that many calories. You know, if they contain on the low side 200 calories, some contain, I think, just over 400. But the thing is, they don't have enough calories. You would need to be drinking like 8, 10, 12 of these per day to gain weight, which is a lot, and that adds up financially. Another issue is there's too many ingredients in these Ensure or pre-mixed protein drinks or energy drinks. It's not even a protein drink necessarily because it has a bunch of other stuff besides protein in it. But it's basically some sort of supplement drink. You don't really know what's in there entirely. You can read through you can read the ingredients, but you know, there's so many names of things you might not recognize that aren't really whole foods and different additives. When you have IBD like I do, drinking something with so many ingredients can be complicated because something small could cause a flare or it could kind of bother your stomach. I wouldn't say it cause a flare, but it could bother your stomach to different degrees. And, you know, there's kind of too many variables, so it's hard to really perfect. You know, one of the big ones is Ensure contains dairy. And I did a study recently. It was quite a high percentage of people that could not have dairy, those who have UC or Crohn's. And I got the study here, I just pulled it up. If you want to see all my studies, I study all sorts of different things like this, survey people, etc. If you go on the blog link in the description, you can find this. But this study here that I concluded, 70% of people with UC or Crohn's experience pain when eating dairy. And of course, Ensure contains dairy. So what I suggest is you make your own shakes. And I'm going to explain how you do that. There's going to be someone out there who says, well, Josh, Ensure has all these different micronutrients and minerals, etc. And my take on that is basically your doctor probably has you on some sort of multivitamin already, I'm guessing. And if you're not, again, I got a video on multivitamins and supplements, so you can check that out too if you need help with that. But basically, I just take a pill once a day that has most of my micronutrients and minerals, etc. So I don't really need to put that into my shakes. Okay, so in a shake, we're basically going to break down the ingredients into the 3 macronutrients, which we kind of briefly mentioned before: protein, carbs, and fat. And you need all 3 of these different macronutrients to live a proper, healthy lifestyle. Okay, so protein. The first one's protein. This is for basically muscle repair, recovery, maintenance. If you're looking to gain healthy weight, it's going to have to be muscle mass. Generally, you can gain a little bit of fat, but if you lost a bunch of muscle and probably fat too. Generally, when I was diagnosed with Crohn's, I lost both muscle and fat. So we're looking to gain both muscle and fat, so we're going to make sure we hit our protein goals. Just so you know roughly, doctors recommend the average adult gets 50 grams of protein per day. We're trying to grow, so we're going to go a lot more protein. I'm eating 200 grams a day. I'm a male. I'm 24 years old. I'm trying to put on a lot of size, and I'm doing pretty well with it at 200 grams. My body weight is 160 pounds. Okay, so for protein sources, we have 2 options. You can put first in the blender egg whites. Egg whites are basically pure protein. The reason you use egg whites instead of full eggs is because the yolk itself, there's a few reasons. The yolk itself contains cholesterol, and when you're eating a good amount of eggs, that cholesterol adds up. Second of all, egg whites are pasteurized. When you buy them, don't be cracking your own eggs. You're going to get sick doing that. Buy the egg cartons. You can go to Costco or any sort of grocery store and buy these cartons of egg whites, and they're already pasteurized. You can actually drink this raw. It doesn't taste that bad when you mix it. I put a friend of mine, I said, man, just start drinking egg whites. They're so portable. Like, you can just easily, you don't have to cook them, etc. Like, they're just so easy to get, like, quick protein. You pull it out of the fridge and drink it. He's drinking them just without anything added. You're not going to be doing that, but it's basically, he described it as like dirty water. That was his take on it. I've been doing it for a while, so it's like there's no flavor to it. If you don't want to do egg whites, or you find they bother your stomach, and we'll get into that shortly. If you don't want to do egg whites, the other option is you can buy some sort of protein isolate, like a powder. There's this brand called Vega, I think. I don't know how you pronounce it, Vega, but they have like this blend. It's like all these different sources of vegan protein. I suggest you don't go with a blend and just go with the isolate, because there's so many sources of vegan protein that do not digest well. Like, most sources of vegan protein actually don't digest well. The only one that really digests properly, even a little bit better than some meats, is the pea protein. So you can buy pea protein isolate, just go on Amazon, search it up, order it. So you can put, that's going to be a powder. So of course, you can make your shake a little bit more thick than if you were to use egg whites. You could use both if you want to, but generally one of those 2 should be your protein source, the starting base of your shake. Okay, next is carbs. So we have a couple options for carbs, actually 3 options. So the first one is oats. Now these are going to be like, depending on your sensitivity with Crohn's, depending on how long you've had it, what kind of handle you got on it. If you're coming off of an NG tube, you're probably not going to do oats. But generally, most people can do oats as long as you get the right types. You need like quick oats or 1-minute oats, like it's Quaker in the big bag. Not steel cut oats. Those, in fact, will hurt most people's stomachs with IBD. If you want to take it easy and not do oats, you can actually just do like fruit. And I suggest all of you guys put fruit in your shakes. Fruit's just going to make the shake taste better. So there's so many different fruits you can add. The primary one is bananas. So you put 1 whole banana in. You could also buy sliced frozen bananas from Walmart. I think they have it. It's kind of hard. It's a hard fruit to find frozen, but I think Walmart has frozen sliced bananas. And when you're putting in frozen fruit, it helps keep the shake cold so it tastes better. But you can put a regular whole banana or 2 in if you want, depending on how big you want to make your shake. Depending on, like I said, the severity of your Crohn's will depend on what kind of fruits you can put in. I'm doing pretty well with my Crohn's, so I push it with strawberries. But if you're a beginner, you're not going to want to put strawberries in your shake. I just find it tastes good with strawberries, but you should put, either just stick with banana. You could put watermelon, might help with a little bit of flavor. It's mostly water, but it might. I haven't tried it. You could definitely try putting a little bit of watermelon in with a banana, etc. Another thing is apples. Just don't put the skin in, so peel it and then put the apples in. That might help a little bit with flavor too. And the last thing for carbs, because we're going to need a little bit more liquid, especially if you're doing the pea protein isolate powder in the protein section, you're going to need some liquid here to help make this actually blend in a blender. So I generally put oat milk. You can buy oat milk. You can buy almond milk if you want. Basically, just find some sort of milk you want to put in there. I don't suggest regular cow's milk because a lot of people, like I said, have issues with that unless you know that it's not causing an issue in your stomach. And that's kind of hard. It takes a while through an elimination diet to really figure out what's actually causing the pain in your stomach. Because I think my naturopath told me that if I eat a food, it can cause pain up to 7 days later. So if you ate something bad for lunch and 3 hours later you get pain, that pain could be from your lunch, it could be from your breakfast, it could be from your dinner the night before. I mean, the parts of that food, it doesn't necessarily all get flushed out in 24 hours. Like parts of it can still lay in your intestines and still be going through your stomach and all your digestive tract. So it's really hard to say that, oh, I had this for lunch and I got pain 3 hours later. Like, it's just not definite that the stuff you ate for lunch was what caused it. Another thing is like there's hidden ingredients, right? So you have a burger for lunch. People might think, oh, it was the red meat. Oh, it was the bun. But, a lot of burgers, if you go out and order a burger, a lot of them say butter on there. And most people don't know, like, oh, really? There's butter on a burger? Yeah, there's butter on a lot of burgers. Same with pizza. You could order a vegan pizza. If it's labeled vegan, then it probably doesn't have butter on it. But normally if you're making your own pizza and saying no cheese, just this, and this on it, a lot of times they're still spraying butter on the crust all the way around. And that actually took a while for myself and a relative of mine to find out that, oh, that's what's causing the issue is they're putting butter on the pizza crust. That's why, like, I wasn't eating dairy, but that's what caused it. And, when we go to a restaurant, do you put butter on your pizza crust? The waitress has to go check. Sometimes they don't even know. Anyways, we're kind of off track. I just figured that side note might be helpful to some people. Soy milk is another option, but like I said, I use oat milk. The last thing you need is fats. Fats are extremely important. You don't need much fat, but you certainly do need to include it in your diet. And you need proper fats. As you know, there's saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Saturated fats are the fats that are bad for you. That's the fat you get from, going and eating fast food. Unsaturated fats are like, peanut butter. That's the first thing on my list. Except the thing with peanut butter is it hurts a lot of people's stomachs with UC and Crohn's. So I don't suggest peanut butter. It hurts my stomach. Sometimes I can push it, but it's usually not worth it. Like when it causes pain, like you get so sick of dealing with pain. You're like, why am I even going to eat this anymore? It makes no sense. Yes, peanut butter tastes good, but it causes pain. I'm trying to get better, so I'm not going to eat peanut butter. So what I do put in is oils. So there's different unsaturated oils you can put in. The first one I use a lot of is avocado oil. Avocado oil is basically tasteless, so it's perfect to add into a shake. You can basically peel an avocado, take the pit out, and just put a whole avocado in the shake too. That's also perfect. You can also put olive oil, but the thing is, olive oil does have a taste. I notice when I put olive oil in my shake or in really on anything, sometimes when I'm heating up something, I put a little bit of oil on it just so it doesn't get dried out in the microwave. Olive oil has a strong taste, whereas avocado doesn't. One of the new oils that they've kind of been talking a lot about is MCT oil. So you can also consider using that oil if you already have it, maybe you know about it. You can try adding that into your shake. That's also a great source of fat. So any of those oils, you put a little bit in, like, I don't know, 3 tablespoons normally, 4 tablespoons, like a good amount. And then I just blend that all up, and it's usually like a liter. And you're going to want to tweak ingredients. So you might have this first shake. It might hurt your stomach. You might go, okay, maybe it was this. And you're going to keep testing and retesting until you try to find something that doesn't hurt your stomach. And even when you think you found something that doesn't hurt your stomach, you still might have like errors in your testing. It's really important to understand. People are too quick to write off foods that they think are hurting their stomach. I find that all the time in groups. So for example, I surveyed, I think it was protein sources. I found like 90% of people could get by with eating eggs, like scrambled eggs. It was one of the safe foods. 90%, that's 9 out of 10 people. And I have a strong feeling that it's probably even higher. It's probably 95%, maybe even 98%. I have a feeling of that 10%, there's a section of them in there that, put butter on their scrambled eggs or in the frying pan and fried it in that. And then they're like, oh, I got stomach issues. And they think butter normally doesn't hurt them. Maybe it does. It's just, it takes a long time to really figure out your diet. And I just want to make that point that I think you really got to be careful when you're saying, okay, this food for sure hurts my stomach. You have to like test it like multiple times. When a scientist runs a study, they don't just test one person. They test it multiple times, sometimes on the same person or on multiple different people, hundreds of people, because it's really hard to get conclusive data when you only test something once and go, oh, that's it. It was the eggs. It was the eggs that made me sick today, and for some reason they don't really consider they ate 10 other foods a day. And with butter and different ingredients and different oils and different things that could trigger it. But, they're just like, it's the eggs. I'm never eating eggs again. So I really challenge you to reconsider foods. If most people, everyone's different, yes. But if most people are saying, you know what, eggs are really good on my stomach. I eat that in a flare. I eat that when I'm feeling good. I eat all the time. Eggs are great. And 90+% of people, 90% right now, but like I said, I think it's less than that, less than 10% that have an issue. When you're an outlier like that, you really just got to take some time and consider, like, maybe I should retest eggs. Maybe I should just have nothing for the first 2 hours in the morning, drink some water, and then have eggs. No other added ingredient, no spices, no ketchup, no oil. Well, you kind of need something to go in the pan, but you know what I mean? Like, just retest it and then wait, see. It could take multiple hours or days to kick in, but hopefully it kicks in pretty soon and you see, you know what, it's been 3 hours, no issues, 4 hours, no issues, 5 hours, no issues. Okay, I'm just going to have another meal and then we can retest this another week and see if it still causes no issues. But anyways, that's just my take on that. Another thing with, trying to do some sort of ingredients that are going to go in the shake that aren't going to hurt. If you're already in a flare, these foods aren't going to pull you out of a flare. So if you're like, oh, that hurt my stomach. Well, your stomach's been hurting for the past 7 days or 7 weeks or 7 months, or years. Some people say they're in flares for years. Like, a certain diet isn't going to really pull you out of that. So it's really hard. It's really harsh to say that, this is causing the issue when you've already kind of had a pre-existing flare going on. So just something to think about. If you're interested in weight gain, you got to check out my book. It's going to be released in February 2020. I went from 105 pounds to right now just over 155 pounds, hoping to hit 160 pounds here soon. And that's lean muscle. I'm still very, very lean. I don't have much fat. I've gained mostly muscle, healthy, properly, and I feel fantastic. I recently tested multiple months off of medication. Against my doctor doesn't want me off medication. Obviously, he says stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. In Canada, some doctors are like they get like a chunk of the proceeds from drugs. So I kind of have this I find my doctor's kind of biased when he puts me on a drug, and he could be getting like compensation for putting me on a drug, so he doesn't have much incentive to get me off the drug. So it's something that I'm always watching. But so obviously he doesn't want me off the drug. But I went ahead and tested getting off the drug for a while, a good extended period, and I really had like minimal symptoms. I had a little bit more stomach pain. My stomach was a little more sensitive, so I really had to stay on my diet. But I mean, I was still gaining weight. Everything was still good. I wasn't in a flare. I didn't have any bad, awful days. When I knew my triggers and I knew my diet, it was fantastic. I'm back on medication now just to, keep everybody happy, but it's something to think about. So anyways, that's all I got for now. Any questions, let me know. Thanks for tuning in.